Sweetheart, be reasonable. After all, we're married.
But I'm leaving you. Woman, I've got to put you down.
Consider that a divorce.
Well, if you can't treat me right, ain't no use of me hanging around.
You've seen it done where the way people bend laws to get what they want. So annulment is king. The law serves the goal of granting annulments. We're not going to hear about separation decrees. We're not going to hear about external forum separations. And we're going to continue to grant annulments like they are. And we're going to keep encouraging couples to stay together and work on their feelings. And that's it. And it's never going to get any. So eventually what happens is, until you can come up with a way to sue the bishop for fraud and negligence in the civil forum, I'm not sure how that could be done, then nothing's going to change. Unless you can find one bishop who will actually uphold the canon law, just one, then this could start the dominoes effect. Because you can actually see that, yes, this is true. Yes, this is real. Yes, here's a walking, living bishop, talking bishop who actually upholds the law. Maybe we should look into this instead of just a few crazy people on the internet who say these weird things who we don't believe. You ever felt that way, Kirk?
It strikes close to home, sure.
Yeah.
What about the rest of the world?
So this is basically the English-speaking world that does it this way. You know what I mean? So places like Nigeria, Sri Lanka, places in India, China, that kind of thing, they don't have a divorce issue because everyone knows it's for life. And if you separate, you can't go to communion. It's just the way it is, which is the way it's supposed to be.
So they're not having the annulment issue in other countries or non-English speaking countries?
No, there's not as much divorce ideology. There's if you don't see that, there's not as much pressure to grant it because there's not the no-fault divorce. So the church in the United States is bowing to the political pressure of the people. That's what's going on. They're like, hey, I can grab this canon law and we'll make it work and release the tension. The only thing is you're selling out marriage, so you're killing marriage to give people what they want.
Kind of moral relativism that the English-speaking world has taken upon itself. And this is new to me, that it's not happening in the rest of the world. That's why it seems kind
of
remarkable.
No, it's not. It just never has. It's kind of like Vatican II never happened to the Byzantine Church, It's sort of like that. So a lot of places, like I said, non-English speaking, lots of those places, very little divorce. And if you separate, you're not going to communion. So till death do us part means something. Till death do us part means nothing in the United States. It doesn't, because you're probably not married anyway, and there's no questions asked. Everyone goes to communion who separates. Good, bad, ugly, guilty, not guilty. Everyone goes. Therefore, what does till death do us part mean in practice? It really means nothing. Therefore, marriage is based on feelings.
If people utilize the sections of the canon law regarding separation more often, do you think that would have reduced the number of annulments?
No, because they would have to go to their bishop. I mean, if you took it to your bishop, it would definitely do so. But since there's no enforcing it, it's like saying, if you have no southern border and you ask the Mexicans to please check in with Donald Trump before they came, would that reduce the flow of illegals? Yes, it would. But that's not the deal.
But the bishops could easily direct them that way, correct?
No-fault divorce could be shut down tomorrow by the U.S. bishops. The divorce rate could be cut by a huge amount in one day by the bishops if they want to, like right away. It's so bad what's going on, and they sit there and they don't. They won't go there. Yes, they could if they just upheld their canons and they told people it's a sin if you don't get permission, and we'll enforce canon 915 if you ignore us. There you go. It's kind of like if you get an arrest warrant and you ignore it, something's going to happen. But if everyone knows the state ignores all arrest warrants, you're going to have a big crime problem. And it's not about, well, we need better citizenship class in junior high. No, you have to start enforcing the law. So forget this marriage prep stuff. We don't even need marriage prep. We just need. And by the way, you were talking about how if people are uncatechized or whatever, people know what marriage is. People know it's permanent. It's not rocket science. They can do it. They just have to be told what it is and be said, by the way, if you violate the rights of the other, you can't go to communion.
So economically, the rest of the world seems to watch the United States both economically and culturally.
Yep.
Is this being exported to the rest of the world?
I guess so. Philippines, right? And aren't they flirting with legalizing divorce here? I believe so. The answer is yes. Because things just tend to travel downhill, right? When it comes to marriage, what we have state versus church. Church has deferred to state. They've separated the contract and the bond, which you cannot separate. It's like separating your head from your shoulders. You can't do it, but they've done it and they said it's okay. It's now the practice. It's what is taught in all the Violet Canon lawyers. It's taught to all the priests, all the bishops. Nobody knows any better. Nobody, and there's lots of smarty pants people who will say what I'm saying is wrong. It's all politics, because if you come up and say this, connect the dots, you're calling a lot of people wrong. You have no career. Heck, my own pastor won't even talk to me. My bishop won't talk to me. A lot of people will not talk to me because it rubs a lot of people the wrong way.
So you've been pretty active here, and that's how I know you. What sort of things have you done, and what have you gotten pushback on?
I've written my bishop lots of letters. I have, and he keeps writing back saying, sorry about everything, but no, we're not going to do anything about this. I've called lots of radio shows, and all the while you're thinking, I can talk to my priest, I can talk to the bishop, I can talk to Catholic Answers, I can talk to these tribunals. These guys are Catholic. They'll be on my side. They'll help me out. They'll stand for justice. They'll stand for marriage. Nope. Newsflash. No. It's all status quo. It's all connected, just like the Catholic media and stuff. It all goes kind of with the bishops, and the bishops kind of all go with the annulments. And if you raise your hand and object, there's 20,000 hands pointing the other direction. They're going to put you right down. It just is what it is. So it's an unpopular topic. It's a message that cannot spread, does not want to be spread. Nobody wants to hear it except the occasional people out there who have been totally hit in the teeth with the injustice and get it. But they are not in any position of authority, kind of like just U.S. politics. If you get to be a senator or a president, you're going to be owned somewhere along the way. It's kind of tough. And so similarly, hierarchy, bishops and stuff, it can be hard for them to really say to accept the church teaching on this. So they just flat out won't talk about it when they get up with somebody who really knows what's happening. Very few people do, because you can't get the information. There's just a handful of people that kind of catch on to it. Most of the time, they neutralize you by offering the annulment, or they wear you down. They just they say, this is the path. You get the annulment, we'll keep you happy. If you want to, and we're not going to give you information about the separation decree. It's you can ask your tribunal. They'll kind of just steer you away from it.
So what happens to a spouse who wants to stay married, even though he or she might realize there's issues with the marriage, but they want to work them out. But the other spouse just doesn't want to put in the work.
Well, so what does the faithful spouse do? Is that your question?
Yeah.
They need to vindicate their rights. Vindicate means prove they have the right and come up with what the solution is. What are you supposed to do with this? Vindicate my rights. Either give me what I deserve or punish the person who's wrong. This is what we need. We need justice, okay? So that person is to go to the bishop and say, I'm wishing to vindicate my conjugal rights, my right to live with my spouse, because we promised that's part of the contract, to live together. And so you need to tell my spouse to legitimize her separation. Remember, it's a she. Legitimize it by a decree. Or if she refuses, she needs to be denied communion. If she will not resume the conjugal life and will not legitimize her separation, she must be denied communion. Otherwise, it's a scandal. You're married, but you're not living together and you're going to communion. That doesn't work because what's your status? Are you legitimate or illegitimate? If you're illegitimate, what's the reason for there's scandal there? Because the kids are like, why is mom going to communion? I thought divorce was a sin. It becomes a giant mystery, cloud, fog. Nobody knows. Nobody can get to the bottom of it. It's all feelings. Let's move on. The person, yes, should request that of the bishop, a separation decree based on malicious abandonment. That's what they should do. And pretty much the bishop will say, no, I'm just not going to do that. You go tell the Pope go ahead and take it to hierarchical recourse if you want. And that's almost doesn't exist. It's hard but now there's so much going on in Rome that's weird. You can't really get hierarchical recourse. So it's really tough. It's kind of like trying to get justice in a town that's run by the mafia. They own the police. Gets a little tricky. That's a little of what's going on.
Let's stay together, loving you.